Wow, it's kind of a sad day. I've had these boxes of miniatures. I got dozens of them, plastic miniatures. Since 3rd edition first came out and they first started doing these pre-painted miniatures, these are the ones I like to use because, the metal miniatures get dinged up so easily. But what I'm going to do, or I need to start doing, is start sorting all of these miniatures. And I'm not 100% sure how to do it yet, maneuvering this wheelchair here. But in all these drawers. So it's time. So we got boxes of miniatures up here, unsorted miniatures up there. Tons and tons of boxes of miniatures there. And even more over there that are unsorted, just hordes of miniatures. I don't know that the cabinets are going to fit everything, but here's hoping, all right? Here's hoping. So I'm going to do a little bit of sorting here, and then I'm going to come back on here. So here we have all the Rogue style miniatures. So my idea is to have them sorted basically by class. That guy's more of a ranger, isn't he? But try to get them sorted. Maybe rangers and rogues could go together because they kind of look similar. Don't you think? That's not too bad. All right, let's go for it. This is always the quandary when you're trying to sort these out. So here's I think that's a air genocide. I can't ever pronounce them. Yeah, it's air. So he's kind of fighter-ish, right? Let's see, what is he supposed to be? A swashbuckler. So I guess would he go in with the rogues, who are all kind of darkish, or should I put him in with the fighter types? And of course, these fighter types are more ranger-ish. And we've started a pile of clerics over here, and then just some NPC king guy. So yeah, it's gonna, and of course, sorcerer of some sort. Or warlock. I think that's actually warlock. And this is an elf, which I'll probably stick all the elves together. I don't know. Guide me, my friends. It's funny going through these miniatures. Several of them have very distinct memories for me. Like this guy right here with the axe held backwards. Let's see if I can make him focus. That guy. I think his name is Skull Crusher or Skull Splitter. Yeah. Skull Splitter. I actually lost that miniature for well over a year. It drove me crazy. I knew I had it somewhere, and I just wasn't willing to just go out and buy another one. Well, it turned out that it was tucked away in a box somewhere, because I thought we were going to run a particular game again, but never did. So, and this guy right here, this is this black sword here. Any guesses? Black Razor. There he is. He looks like he's taking a big old dump right there on the... I laughed so hard when I saw this miniature, and I was kind of disappointed. They could have made a cool miniature out of Black Razor, but that's what we got, sadly. So, the miniatures are starting to pile up again. We will keep plugging along. So far, I've only put rogues and thieves in. But I still have to go through all of these here, and I've got many more boxes with class types. That's what I'm doing first, is all my different class types. Here we have Warduke with his famous shield. An anti-paladin, which I kind of like. This is more of a necromancer type. That's actually, it's a pretty awesome miniature. It's actually a Paizo miniature, but and then the old Redgars. And who's this guy? Yeah, Thayan Knight. So he looks pretty awesome. That's probably enough of showing off the fighters, even though I got hordes more. Now we're starting to get into clerics and druids, doodads. Here is Lareth the Beautiful of Hamlet and a Temple of Elemental Evil fame. He actually was an agent of Loth. Pretty cool. We got, let's see, we got some druids over there. Clerics of Nerol. It's pretty neat. We got a few clerics of Nerol. And these guys are all clerics as well. So, oh, and we got a bard hanging out by himself. So we'll have to figure out what to do with him. So far, here's what we got. We've got heavily armored fighters. We've got ranger and light armored fighters and rogue style. And we've got a lot more to go yet. Alright, we've reached the Wizards and Sorcerers. We've got, here's three classics. Elminster, Mordenkainen, and Raistlin. 3 great ones. And a bunch of assortments of wizards. This one is, I've always been kind of one of my personal favorites. Just some old dude running away with his sparkly cape on. I love it. There's a lot of great ones here, though. Oh, he's more of a cleric, I think. I don't know. What is he? Oh, he's a named guy. Human wizard. I guess he is a wizard, isn't he? Oh. Here we have Mordenkainen. So, oh, this is not Mordenkainen. This is Mordenkainen. This, I think, is just an archmage. Let's see what it says. Oh, that's exactly what he is. Archmage. All right. Good deal. Here's a cool one. Guy on a flying carpet. Always pretty cool. In any case, one tray is empty. And we are still filling. Oh, I forgot about these wizards over here. This one's pretty cool. So should I throw my bards? Should I throw my bards in with my druids? I got a couple. Most of my bards are in another box completely. So yeah, you know. So maybe I should have a dedicated bard slot. So what do you guys think? Anyway, I'll keep filming. You know, and I've got so many boxes to go through yet that I may just share some special miniatures to me with you guys. Thanks a lot. Happy gaming. Well, I'm finally back to reorganizing. I was sick for 4 or 5 days over the weekend, and before that, well, up to really yesterday, I was pretty bad off, but back to reorganizing miniatures. So, here we have a tray of elves, gnomes, and halflings. So let's see what we got. Well, as you can see, elves do like their bows. There are so many. I think the first tray and a half, or the first slot and a half, is just a bunch of bows. Although we do have some elf spearmen here. Some royal guards, maybe. I don't know what they're called. Let's see what this guy's called. He's an elf spear guard. Pretty cool. I don't know how I ended up with so many of them, though, but I guess it is what it is. Elves and bows. I guess it's like dwarves and axes, right? So here we have, we've got elf rangers. This is a ranger, and we've got a dog barking in the background for no apparent reason, but elf rangers, all dual wielding and such. Which I think is ironic that the elf rangers are all not wielding a bow, even though they're elves, but whatever. We've already been over elves and bows. And then we have elven barbarians, which are kind of cool. I think this guy's technically an elf fighter, but he kind of looks barbarian-esque. But, yeah, not too shabby. We're closing in on the more elaborate models. These are kind of fillers, commons, and I did find a stray human mixed in with the elves, so got to get him back to where he belongs. Here we have a few of my favorite and least favorite elven models. We've got the elvish swashbuckler, which I really like the pose quite a lot with the sword coming out like that, and the arcane archer, which I could just see that elf making running away from a bunch of orcs and twisting and firing. It's pretty cool. We've got some Well, who's this guy? This is a Blade Singer, but this is, I think, a named character, Vidania, the Druid. It's a pretty cool model I like quite a bit. And then we have some sorcerers and spellcasters back here. But this model I've always quite liked, which was like a halfling, or a half-elf, sorry. Half-elf bow initiate. I don't remember what a bow initiate is. It's probably a 3rd edition thing, but it's a pretty cool model. Here is my least favorite. Have you ever, like, when you were a kid, like, gone to dye Easter eggs, and you just start, like, dipping in the egg and any number of patterns just to create just a mishmash of ugly colors? To me, that's this model. Somebody just, like, started smearing paint on it wherever, and yeah. This was kind of a cool one. I think this is a Paizo model. An elf, clearly, but with the big scythe. Who is it? An elf inquisitor with a giant scythe. Pretty cool. And this is... Let's see if we can get it to focus. What do we got? Miley, elf wizard. Oh, it's one of the named icons. Kind of a neat looking one. And then we got the wand duelist, or whatever his name is. What was it? Oh, a wand expert. Yeah, whatever. Pretty cool. And here we have a large collection of mages and knights and so forth. We've got the elf dragon knight there, kind of centered in my shot here. You can always tell the newer models because they have all that clear plastic fire coming off them. I'm not a big fan of that, but there's some pretty neat ones here. I really like this guy. He's actually in, what is that, Brelani Eladrin. He's actually an Eladrin, but I throw him in with the elves because they kind of are elfish a little bit. But some pretty neat models here. Oh, let me see. Of all of them, I really like, I really like the more simpler models. Stuff like that I really am drawn to. I don't know why. The really elaborate ones, not so much. And you can tell the older models, Aramil, Adventurer. In particular, I like the models where they don't have a weapon necessarily drawn or in hand or whatever. I don't know. We got a horde of bards back here, though, hanging out. Pretty neat stuff. This one's pretty cool. What is that? What is that? Focus, damn you. A deep shadow elf. He looks like he's deep and shadowy. Right? I don't know. Pretty cool stuff. Next up, halflings and gnomes. Halflings. Alright. You know, the thing about halflings is you don't need a heck of a lot of detail on them because they're so teensy, but there's some neat models here. We've got the paladins of Yandala with their big shields with the horns of plenty. This is actually one of my favorite halfling models with the little rogue guys here with their masks on. Halfling butchers. You gotta have a food themed one, right? Whole bunch of halfling archers, halfling ranger types. Kind of like these guys though, with their mounts. One's on a kind of a velociraptor looking thing. The other one's on his riding dog. Halfling Outrider, I think is what he's called. Halfling Wizards with their top knots. There's some decent models here. And, of course, you got a bard there. But good stuff. Up next, gnomes. You know, the gnomes aren't that much more different than the halflings. They're just teensy guys, and they tend to be more heavily armored, at least in their models. Do have, who is this guy called again? Gnome Illusionist. Just a generic gnome illusionist. I thought that was a named guy, but apparently not. Here's my two favorite models. This one on the right here, with the dreadlocks, that's a Paizo model for a druid. It's pretty cool. And then this guy just looks angry all the time, which I kind of like him. In any case, I did find this halfling mixed in with the gnomes. It's a halfling spellcaster of some kind. Not a bad little model, but I think they're pretty interchangeable myself. Alright, so we've got elves, halflings, and gnomes rather unceremoniously dumped into their little compartments. Halflings and gnomes, not really sorted, but I'm looking at the case and I'm seeing that we might have a space problem after all. So for now, they're going to have to kind of share space. We've got archers, we've got melee types, and then spellcaster special types there. We got the next tray of miniatures all set to go. It's dwarves and warforged. Looks like there's Kenku in there. This one has a mishmash. It also has some psychic warriors and stuff. And astral constructs. It looks like a mishmash, but mostly dwarves and warforged. But I do have to say I'm mighty excited because Prison of Kos came out yesterday. And I'm going to do a whole video on the adventure, where I kind of do a walkthrough of the adventure for DMs. So stay tuned for that, but it's available right now on Amazon in paperback. The PDF is going to be available on DriveThruRPG, but they're still approving the files, so we're a few days into that process already. So I didn't realize that they were going to be slower. So, alright, so this drawer also has elves. So yes, we are going to be housing dwarves and elves together with halflings. So, alright, let's get started. And here we have the Warforged. You know, when they first came out in 3rd edition, I was absolutely enamored with them, especially with the idea of a cleric Warforged. Like something that, obviously a construct, a living construct, but, you know, served a god and had this existential crisis of, you know, why do I exist and so forth. But I thought it was pretty cool. That miniature right there is the Warforged wizard, but I always used it as a cleric. We got captains in the back. We even have a barbarian Warforged. He's got this bone thing on his back. It makes him very barbarian-esque. The Warforged hero with a shield he could stab you with. I loved Warforged. I have some of the new models. They're just stuck in a box. There was the old Lord of Blades and the little skirmisher guys. What were these guys called? The Scouts. Little tiny ones. I loved them. And in the back there, I had all of the basic models. Pretty cool stuff. Not to be outdone by the elves, here we have the Dwarvish Artillery, if you will, the Crossbowmen, which I also thought was kind of cool. Make them a little different than the elves, no bows, but this right here, I've always loved this model. I don't know why, but I think that's a Dwarf Sergeant. Yeah. Dwarf Sergeant. Here's another one of my favorites here. He's getting ready to clobber somebody. Straight over the top. It's pretty awesome. Oh, and the Dwarf Barbarians. And two of my favorites, Dwarf Monks. It's ready to brawl. I think they're called Tavern Brawlers or something. Yeah, just Dwarf Brawler. Pretty cool. Here we have some rebased WizKids models, old school WizKids dwarves. I really rather like this one. I've always liked him. Very dynamic. He's got the winged helm on. I also really like this guy. He's got a brewski on his shield there, and several of the higher level options for dwarves. I think there's one around here. Yeah, with an energy axe. What is that? What was that? I can't remember. It was like a scintillating axe, and here's this guy. He's a dwarf rogue, which you don't get to see a lot of. at least model-wise. Here's another interesting one. It's a Dwarf Samurai with his lamellar armor and probably a katana that was straightened out somehow. Dwarf Samurai. I also like the mages, the collection of mages that we have. Because typically with dwarves, you get a heck of a lot of axes. And here's the ranks upon ranks of stinking dwarves. I guess there's a few hammers in there too. There's a newer one with his energy coming off his blade. And here's another one I really like. He just looks like he's ready for business. If I can get it to focus. That guy, yeah. I love his beard. Looks awesome.